the mic, I guess, than Phil Langley, who is president of the USTA. And Phil, before you go, I mean, from what I read and what I have read, situations with Vernon and Tioga, it was kind of sad and hard to read, where there was total lack of cooperation between management and horsemen, and I think that's a situation that John was addressing and Jay is speaking about. And I don't know what you were going to address, but I just wanted to point that out, that I agree that I think that needs to change in several ways.
Okay, that was not what I was going to address. And actually, I'm speaking here as a representative of Balmoral and Maywood in Chicago, which are unfortunately a couple of the tracks that are still operating just on the betting on horses instead of racinos, although we'd like to get that changed. But I have a couple of questions. One comment first. It was interesting to hear the contradiction between takeout between a couple of the speakers. And I'd just like to say that 30 years ago, when we first put in trifectas, I said, how in the hell are you going to put in trifectas with a 25% takeout? Nobody will bet them. They'll still bet the 17% takeouts. Well, what happened? Everybody wants the big payoff, at least the majority of the customers. They didn't care. I agree, they don't care about takeout. They were maybe the big bettors do, but for the most part, the fans, they just wanted the big payoff. And actually probably most of the big bettors too, because they're still making bets to get big payoffs against people that don't know as much as they do. But I had two other questions, especially with this panel, because I think they're very interesting and they're very knowledgeable about wagering. A couple things have happened in the last few years. One, we've gone to, in a lot of places, to 10-cent bets. And I just wondered what they thought of some of these 10-cent bets, 50-cent bets. I guess the anomaly is that even in the casinos where they go to nickel and penny slot machines, they make more money on those than they do on the big ones. But anyway, they're something that's going on. And the other thing, I think maybe Les is the best one to answer this, but it seems to me that we have too many pools on any given race. I know at Balmoral we'll have an exacta, we'll have a trifecta, we'll have a superfecta, everything on one race, which I think cuts into the pool that the gamblers can bet into. Do you see any advantage to maybe cutting back and having a trifecta one race and not every race, or do you think that it really doesn't matter?
A plan along those lines has to be instituted to keep the larger player involved. When you have so many wagers in one race, that it totally gets watered down. But to speak to an earlier point that you made about the general public not really realizing about the takeout or really appreciating it, well, they're speaking about that takeout in the large numbers of which they're not showing up anymore, because the takeout has chopped them up into little pieces and they're no longer playing at the track because it's so large. I mean, just imagine, if you were a really good horse handicapper, maybe you could even have a plus minus in the 0 to even minus 5% area. Well, when you consider you throw throwing the takeout in there, those people have no chance. And to be able to win at harness racing and show any kind of profit, even in a small percentage, you have to be so far superior to just overcome that enormous takeout.
Just one point I'd make on the same front, which is when we instituted triples way back when, we didn't have the kind of competition we have right now for the gambling dollar, and that's the choice factor, and that, like I said, it is hidden. Not everyone knows the actual number, but they do know the choices. And when you leave another area where you bet and you made money, and you leave one place you lost money, you're going to remember the place you won. And I think that's what's happening. People are remembering the other places they've been to.
People that play slots every week, I'm sure they go to Yonkers, they play every week. I imagine most of them don't win, but they come back.
No, but I'm saying, but racing's a different element. I mean, racing's not the same kind of gambling, and there are choices for racetrack people. And I think in Les's case, and even TJ's case, they're talking more about, I'm going to bet into the bigger pool. That's it's been twofold. What's happened to Les is the people have disappeared, and they've also, the pools have disappeared, and therefore it's dried up for a lot of people.
All right, one quick comment from whoever, TJ, Les, whoever wants to answer this. Alex, anybody, Jamie, Jerry. About the 10-cent supers, the smaller plays now, which I have become very popular from what I've been able to tell. Maybe not for a guy like you. I doubt you get down into that realm, but it does allow a lot of people to have a little bit more enjoyment, maybe get a little luckier, have a lot of combinations for a smaller amount of money. I don't see it as a bad play. I see it even more effective myself personally than like a straight $2 win wager for sure.
I'm behind the guy betting 10-cent super effective 50 million.
Well, yeah, but part of that thing, and again, I'm thinking about today's world and ADWs and computer wagering is that you're just a mouse click away from making a $36 play, which gives you 360 combinations. And if you're playing Evangeline Downs with 14 horse fields and you just happen to hit it right, or closed your eyes and threw the darts at the right numbers, you're going to score for like 5,000-10,000 on a 10-cent play. I've seen it, and they're extremely popular.
That's all that matters.
And that is what matters, I think, is that people like them, and they will wager into those smaller denominations.
Exactly what I was going to say. I bet huge amounts, but I bet dime supers, believe it or not. And I wish they had dimes on other things. And the reason is, if I bet a pick six with a $2 denomination, and this happens frequently, and I bet 10,000 into a pick six pool, and let's say I hit it, but it pays 10,000, I should be theoretically breaking even. I don't, because the government withholds $2,800 of it. So now, from my cash flow, I put in 10,000, I'm walking away with 7,200, even though I theoretically broke even. If I could bet that with a dime denomination, instead of getting paid on a $2 pick six, it would pay 10,000. Now it pays 500, and there's no withholding. I get back 10,000. So if I want to bet a super, I call it out, and it is annoying, but I bet mostly by phone. I call it out in 10-cent denominations and just call multiples until I reach the number that I want, and then I have a much better chance to not, when I cash, to be under that $600 threshold, not have a signer, or to be under the $5,000 mark and not have the government withhold from me.
And Seth, and of course, a guy with a lot of experience and some disposable cash. But I think for newcomers, it allows them to get more bang for their buck, or in this case, for a dime. And I just think it's a real positive play. But everything you said is absolutely true about it.